we're going to start from where else in Osogbo, where the elections have been won and lost, as they say. But we'll find out now from, we'll start with the representative of the PDP. He's Mr. Bamidele Salam, who is the secretary to the Media Committee of Adeleke Campaign Organization. Good morning, and thank you for joining us today on the program. Clearly, your party is not happy, and many think that, well, they think that you lost the elections free and fairly. Yes, we know that you disagree with that view, but tell us, what are your immediate concerns now that the APC has been declared winner of the elections?
Well, thank you very much, Chamberlain, and good morning, Nigerians. I want to say that it's a black day in Osun State. It's a sad day in Nigeria. Yesterday was the day that democracy was taken to the abattoir by desperate politicians who worked tirelessly to subvert the free expression of the people of Osun State. The supplementary election yesterday was a charade. You know, it fell short of every known norm and best practice in democratic, conduct. And I'm happy that it's not just the PDP that is saying this. The US, the EU, and the UK observer team addressed a press conference yesterday where they expressed this same sentiment, that that election was marred by violence, was marred by intimidation, was marked by opaqueness, lack of transparency at all levels of the election. The same thing has been said by major observer groups. The same thing was reported by the media. In particular, yesterday we had incidents of intimidation of voters of the PDP, members of the PDP, in all the units where the election held. What the APC did was to invade this polling unit with thugs as early as 6 a.m. to chase away known PDP members and supporters, and to make sure that the media and the election monitors did not have access to the polling unit in the first 4 hours of the day when that havoc was done. From Orolu local government, Idiya, to Gbogbo, to Oluwene, to every other place in the local government, thugs went to villages to shut up people in their homes and threaten them that if they left the house, they will be killed. Some who dared them were shot, some were macheted, some were axed. The same thing happened in Olode in Ife South local government, where the PDP agent was macheted about 6:30 a.m., where women were chased away from the queue. As at 7 a.m., there were more than 200 people on the queue. They chased them out of the place, and they ensured that, the media did not have access to this. I watched live on television. The Silverbird crew that was going to Olode was stopped from entering the place by the police, who said they were acting on the instruction of their commander, that they should not have access, that nobody was allowed to come in here. The AIT crew that was going to Ife North was arrested and debarred from going there. We had massive deployment of security men to prevent PDP members from exercising their franchise and support of the party. In Osogbo local government, where you had a small semblance of, of sanity, the method that they employed there, because that one fell within the heart of the city, of the capital, was to mobilize voters who were clutching PVC cards of other polling units to come there to vote. About 10 of them were apprehended, handed over to the police, but what did we see? The police only cautioned them and told them, to go home and sin no more. And then a lot of others who were holding PVCs that did not belong to Unit 17 in Ward 5 were allowed to cast their vote. The PDP agent who raised this observation was shouted down, and they instructed him to move far away from the polling point. By the time the polling was going on, there were sporadic gunshots. About 3 journalists were brutally attacked by thugs in the full glare of the whole world. Now, this is not an election. There is nowhere you hold an election of this nature and you make a return that will be validly acceptable. The whole world has seen that in Osun, what happened yesterday was robbery, What happened yesterday was a charade.
All right, I need to establish if you can hear me, so we can proceed.
Test of integrity.
Can you hear me?
At the end of all this charade, you know, all they could come up with was that the
Mr. Salam, can you hear me?
400 and something votes ahead of the PDP. This cannot stand, and it will not stand.
I hope you can hear me. Can you?
Yes, I can hear you now.
All right, so we'll try as much as possible to let it go back and forth so the people can follow the conversation. Now, let me take you back to when you said that they stopped persons, party members, PDP specifically, from going ahead to vote. Now, there are questions concerning that. How do you think they were able to determine and target members of the PDP and stop them from proceeding to go and cast their votes?
Very good question, Chamberlain. Now, don't forget that the communities where most of the communities where this election, you know, was holding are rural communities. And before then, we made several, you know, press releases. We addressed press conference to say that members of our political party were being harassed and intimidated in these communities. They all know themselves. They know houses where you have the PDP chairman and then the ward in the rural local government. The chairman of the PDP in that ward was abducted at 5 a.m. of the day. And then they also adopted one method, which Nigerians, you know, must be aware of. In Orolu local government, the APC came up with a method of giving white handkerchiefs to people who are supporters of their party. And in collaboration with INEC officials and security agencies, anyone that is holding that white handkerchief was easily identified as somebody who will vote for the APC. In Ife South, it was a special cap that was designed with the logo of the state government. If you look at the queue on Ife South, you will see that cap on the heads of so many people. Some of them were holding the cap in their hand. We had the photograph, we had the screenshot of those. But like I said, they are rural communities where people know the political you know, allegiance of virtually everyone. And these talks just made sure that they stationed themselves right on the front door and on the streets of people who they know were APC. Now, some of these people were met by the European Union observer team that came to Orolu, was taken to a particular house where PDP members were holed up after being chased out of the polling unit, and they spoke to them, they interviewed them. We have that on record, we have that on camera, and they told the European Union team what happened, how they were attacked by thugs, how they cried for help from the security men, and security men refused to come to their aid, and they had to run away. The European Union team looked at their PVCs to confirm that they were indeed genuine voters who could not go back to the polling unit because they have been threatened that they will be killed. That exactly is what happened.
Now, concerning what you said about in consultation or in cahoots with security agencies, again, I need to ask you, how did you come to that conclusion?
Well, it's obvious, Chamberlain. You know, the role of the security agency in any election, or in any case, not only election, is to provide safety for law-abiding citizens. So, if you are a law-abiding citizen and you are going to perform your civic obligation, and then people who are taking the law into their own hands, who are clutching dangerous weapons, attack you, and security agents were around the place, and all they could do was to look the other way. I mean, what other conclusion do you come to? It is very obvious, and I'm not the one only saying this. I have a report by the IAGA here. You know, the IAGA is an African initiative that monitors election. Let me just read a part of this report. IAGA said APC agents and party representatives identify supporters of the People's Democratic Party to political thugs who attacked and beat them up in the presence of security agents. This is just one paragraph out of a 16-paragraph report by the IAGA, which is already online. The CDD, which is another notable observer group, released its report yesterday, signed by one Idayat Hassan. It's already online and it's everywhere, where the same thing was said about the compromised role of the security agencies. The US, the EU, and the UK observer team that also addressed a press conference yesterday made a reference to the same. So it's not the PDP that is saying this. It is the fact that was palpable on the streets of Orolu, Ife North, Ife South, and Osogbo local government, and everybody observed it. The media observed it. Everyone observed it.